Danielle Colby, once hailed as the vibrant soul behind American Pickers, now finds herself at the center of one of reality television's most chilling murder trials. Her transformation from beloved TV personality to convicted killer is a twist few saw coming. Originally introduced to audiences as the quick-witted, inked-up backbone of the series' Antique Archaeology Office, she has now become a courtroom fixture, accused of orchestrating the cold-blooded murder of co-star Frank Fritz. It all began when Danielle took the stand as a witness during the trial of Mike Wolfe, the man initially charged with Frank's death. But as evidence unraveled and Danielle's own testimony began contradicting earlier statements, suspicion shifted. What started as a legal drama focused on Mike exploded into a narrative drenched in betrayal, manipulation, and greed. Her cryptic text exchanges with Mike, knowledge of Frank's medication schedule, and involvement in shady financial transfers became undeniable red flags. As prosecutors unearthed shocking details, including the use of a banned neurotoxin, Danielle's role shifted from bystander to potential mastermind. Viewers were left stunned. And if you're just joining this roller coaster of betrayal and courtroom chaos, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and tap that bell, because we're only just scratching the surface. The courtroom in Davenport, Iowa, was packed as Mike Wolfe stood accused of killing his longtime co-host, Frank Fritz. A beloved figure, Frank had passed away on October 1st, 2024, with his death initially ruled as a stroke. But the FBI's discovery of a vial containing military-grade neurotoxin in Mike's home flipped the narrative. Danielle Colby was called in as a witness, but her appearance quickly spiraled into something far darker. Prosecutors revealed texts between Danielle and Mike that hinted at a disturbing plot, including phrases like "taken care of" and "delete this thread." But what really shattered the illusion of her innocence was a $175,000 transfer from Mike's shell company to Danielle just days after Frank's death, what prosecutors dubbed hush money. As the trial progressed, Danielle's ties to both the victim and the accused painted her as a puppet master hiding behind a smile and a vintage wardrobe. With each new piece of evidence, the courtroom leaned in closer, and so should you. Click subscribe now to stay updated on the most twisted betrayal in TV history, and hit the like button if you're shocked by how far reality stars can fall. The evidence continued piling up against Danielle Colby in waves no defense team could suppress. During one jaw-dropping day in court, she admitted, perhaps unknowingly, to having detailed knowledge of Frank Fritz's medication regimen. This wasn't a throwaway detail. It mirrored the method in which the poison had been administered. Prosecutor Sarah Harrove pounced on the inconsistency, asking, "How could you know that unless you tampered with it?" Danielle's fumbling response added fuel to the already raging fire. Her claim that she was merely helping Frank was dismantled when surveillance footage was recovered, showing her visiting Frank's house hours before he was found unconscious, carrying a bag later confirmed to hold a vial matching the one containing the deadly neurotoxin. And yet, it didn't stop there. FBI agents later revealed Danielle had also visited a security company to retrieve and conceal the footage before police could access it. In that moment, the courtroom and the world watching knew this was no accident. Forensic analysts confirmed her fingerprints on the vial and traced the same toxin in Frank's bloodstream. If this story has gripped you already, take 1 second to subscribe for more explosive updates, and remember, what you think you know might not be the whole truth. The betrayal went beyond murder. It extended into the financial underbelly of American Pickers. The FBI's forensic audit exposed Danielle Colby's control of offshore accounts linked to questionable show-related transactions totaling over $3.2 million. Astonishingly, she withdrew $450,000 just days before Frank's death, then used it to purchase a luxury estate in Puerto Rico. The implication was clear. She wasn't just involved, she was profiting from the silence that followed. These revelations weren't just legal landmines, they completely dismantled her public persona. Prosecutors argued that Danielle executed a long-term plan to isolate Frank, manipulate Mike and seize control of the American Pickers brand. With Mike too grief-stricken and intimidated to resist, she reportedly staged evidence at his home to frame him as the killer. One former employee revealed that Danielle had asked him to deliver a gift to Mike just before Frank's death, a gift later confirmed to be the very box holding the deadly vial. The digital trail sealed it. Encrypted messages from Danielle saying the vial is in place left no doubt. And hey, if you've made it this far, you're clearly hooked. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, we promise. The story gets even darker from here. As Danielle Colby's house was raided, what the FBI found inside transformed suspicion into certainty. Inside a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf, agents discovered an encrypted hard drive containing unreleased surveillance footage that had mysteriously vanished during the initial investigation. When decrypted, it revealed Danielle arriving at Frank's home late at night on October 1, 2024, carrying a small bag and leaving shortly after. That same bag, identified through image enhancement software, matched the one used to carry the lethal vial found at Mike's home. Danielle had not only visited Frank hours before his death, but had returned to the security company in the dead of night to retrieve the footage before law enforcement could access it. This deliberate attempt to conceal evidence confirmed what many feared: this wasn't just involvement, it was orchestration. Even more damning, inside a small wooden box in Danielle's bedroom was another identical vial with traces of the same toxin, her fingerprints, and a handwritten guide detailing how to mix it into Frank's pills. That guide, prosecutors confirmed, was written in her own handwriting. Case had shifted. Mike may have been manipulated, but Danielle was emerging as the mastermind. And if you're still following this unbelievable unraveling of lies, deceit, and betrayal, subscribe right now, because what's coming next will absolutely shake you. With the evidence now tilting heavily against her, Danielle Colby's defense team scrambled to deflect the narrative, arguing that she was a scapegoat framed to cover up the FBI's initial mishandling of the case against Mike Wolf. But the jury was no longer buying it. Her courtroom demeanor shifted. Once confident and defiant, Danielle now appeared shaken and defensive as she took the stand. Her explanations grew thinner. She claimed the vial was a decorative gift for Mike, the footage retrieval was a safety measure, and the incriminating texts were misunderstood. But each denial only deepened the cracks in her story. When confronted with her own handwritten note, detailing the dosage of the neurotoxin found in the same box as the poison vial, she could only mutter, "I don't know where that came from." The jury did. They saw a calculated, long-term plan unfold piece by piece, and Danielle's silence in that moment spoke louder than any defense. As more messages emerged, like the chilling one instructing Mike, "The vial is placed. Don't open it," her narrative collapsed completely. Don't blink. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon to make sure you don't miss part 2 of this unraveling saga. We've only scratched the surface. Mike Wolf's testimony changed everything. Emotional and visibly broken, he recounted how Danielle Colby slowly pressured him to cut ties with Frank starting in 2018, citing health and production delays as excuses. "She told me Frank was a liability," Mike told the court, "and that I needed to be the face of the show." He said he went along because he feared losing everything, but in doing so, he lost his best friend. As he choked back tears, Mike dropped the final blow. Danielle had demanded he transfer ownership of the American Pickers brand to her in 2023, threatening to expose financial misconduct if he didn't comply. He confirmed the $175,000 transfer was hush money. She extorted, not a business deal. The courtroom sat in stunned silence as Mike revealed Danielle had planted the poison vial in his home, then pressured him to delete messages that tied her to Frank's death. "I was a pawn in her game," he said. Suddenly, the man once accused of murder became a victim of psychological and financial manipulation. Public opinion swung dramatically. The focus was no longer on Mike, but on Danielle and her chilling ambition. Want more shocking reveals like this? Subscribe now, because what you think you know still isn't the full story. Frank Fritz's legacy, once rooted in antique treasure hunts and dusty barns, became a symbol of justice delayed but not denied. After Danielle Colby's conviction, Frank's family and fans launched a wave of memorials across the country. But nothing was more surreal than what happened 1 year after his death. Due to land redevelopment, Frank's grave was relocated. But what lay beneath wasn't just a casket. It was a preservation chamber filled with artifacts from his life, pieces he'd carefully chosen, like an original 1934 Indian motorcycle, and a collection of letters revealing untold collaborations between Thomas Edison and a forgotten female inventor. Among the relics were toy cars tagged with the names of sick children he'd quietly mentored through a hospital art program. The final piece, a leather journal titled The Real Finds, documenting personal stories of everyday Americans he met while filming. The world watched the live-streamed relocation in awe. Frank wasn't just a reality star, he was a storyteller, a documentarian of forgotten history. His casket wasn't an end, but a museum, a living archive. If you believe stories like Frank's deserve to be remembered forever, don't just watch. Subscribe to this channel and join us in honoring the legends hidden in plain sight. The courtroom drama may have ended with a verdict, but the cultural impact of Danielle Colby's conviction is just beginning. After the guilty verdict was read, life in prison without parole, the internet exploded. Hashtags like #JusticeForFrank and #DanielleGuilty trended globally for 48 hours, with over 3 million posts mourning the loss of a man who once represented the best of American television. The verdict brought closure, but also heartbreak, especially among longtime fans of American Pickers who saw Danielle not just as a co-star, but as family. Mike Wolfe responded by donating $500,000 to the Crohn's Disease Foundation in Frank's name and announced the creation of a memorial museum in Iowa to showcase the artifacts he and Frank discovered together. Yet, American Pickers was never the same. History Channel officially canceled the show in May 2025, calling the situation an irreparable fracture in its foundation. And for fans, the series ended not with a final pick, but with betrayal and tears. It's a story of loyalty broken, dreams shattered, and legacy salvaged. Subscribe to the channel now if you want to follow the aftermath, because this wasn't just a show, it was a reflection of Americana, and its fall deserves to be remembered. In the months following the trial, what became clear was that Frank Fritz's greatest find wasn't an antique sign or vintage motorcycle. It was the forgotten humanity buried in every dusty garage and roadside barn across America. Through his quietly heroic efforts, Frank not only entertained millions, he reminded them of something precious, the value of personal history. That message grew even louder in death. As fans flooded rural museums inspired by the Fritz effect, a new initiative was launched. The Fritz Fellowship, dedicated to preserving the untold stories of everyday Americans. Meanwhile, Danielle Colby, once a beacon of bold independence, now sits behind bars, her future as empty as the stage showrooms she once helped organize. Mike Wolfe continues to pick up the pieces, dedicating himself to preserving Frank's memory and distancing the brand from the shadow Danielle cast. But the truth remains, this wasn't just a crime, it was a calculated erasure of a man who lived to preserve memory itself. As the world now understands, Frank wasn't just picking items, he was preserving identity. If you followed this story this far, you know it's more than scandal. It's a lesson, a legacy. Subscribe now to make sure the truth never gets buried again.